Hello, how's it going? I'm excited. It is sweater weather. I've got my sweater on. I'm waiting forever. I'm super pumped. I want to talk to you today about YouTube Red because this is going live tomorrow and I have some thoughts. If this isn't your thing, that's totally fine. I understand. Go away, come back later. There'll be a different video on this channel. You can watch that and enjoy that. If that's also not your thing, then you're going to have to come back later. It's going to be a really long time for you. So I hope you survive that journey. But YouTube Red. So this is launching tomorrow, and the idea is that you can pay YouTube $10 a month and get YouTube without ads. That's the big sell thing. There are some perks that they've added in there, like the ability to watch videos on your phone and download them ahead of time, so that if you're going through a tunnel or if you're in the Yukon or places with bad internet connection, you're totally cool. You can also listen to YouTube videos in the background on your phone and switch over to other apps, which is nice. And they're also bundling it with Google Music, so you get kind of a free music subscription along with that. And then they are going to be launching some original programming, which is YouTube only, YouTube paying subscriber only. Now, they're launching this tomorrow, and you do get a month trial period where you can just do that for free, and subsequently you'd pay $10 a month and get a nice ad-free YouTube experience. Now, so that's kind of the gist of what this program is. I want to talk a little bit about the creator side of things, because a lot of people are like, I make videos, or I like watching videos, and I want people who make videos to be able to continue to do that. So a lot of people have a vested interest in how the creator side of things work. Now, I should also say that at this point, a lot of what I'm going to say is speculation. YouTube is not very forthcoming with a lot of information. That's kind of their thing, is being super secret about stuff. I mean, part of that is that they're going to change how they structure things a lot. And so if they lock themselves down to this is exactly how something is going to work, it means that they can't change it without having lied. So some of what's come out is speculation. Some of it is through secondhand sources, some of that sort of stuff. I'll try and make it clear to what extent that's the case as we talk in this video, but there was a announcement by Social Blade, which is a service that a lot of YouTubers use to track kind of their analytics, their subscriber counts, that sort of thing, and that said that during this first trial period, this free 30-day period where you can get the ad for YouTube period stuff, none of the subscription money, well, I mean, there isn't any subscription money, but the ad-free experience that you get, the creators will not be paid for that. So the premise with this service is that you pay $10 and 55% of that is going to support creators. But during this first month, it's not, because there is no money and YouTube is not making up the difference to the creator. So what This is, I mean, it's pretty much exactly what happened with Apple Music, which you may know, you may not, but Apple Music was like, yeah, we're launching a free trial, enjoy. And then all of the people said, well, wait a second, we're hosting our music with Apple Music. Well, we don't want to, I'd rather not give my stuff away for free, please, so no. And then Taylor Swift did a whole thing, and then Apple redacted. But as far as I know, and this could have changed since I recorded this, but Taylor Swift has not yelled at Google about this. So a lot of creators who may have been expecting ad revenue at this point are potentially in trouble. And I want to talk a little bit about why this is a particularly bad time. So Q4 is a big thing. Q4 is the fourth quarter of the year. When you're talking about finances, you've got Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, all that stuff. And the reason that it's a big deal is because it's the holiday season, right? So advertisers, so YouTubers who are supporting themselves via advertising tend to do much better at the end of the year during Q4. The other reason for that is that usually marketing and advertising executives have their budget for what they're going to promote, and that usually runs on a quarterly and to some extent an annual basis. And so they've got a certain amount of budget. They've got this many dollars that they need to spend promoting their product, and toward the end of the year, that's okay, I've got this much money left. let's spend all of it so I can get the same budget next year. So usually the end of the year is a very, very good time for advertisements. Obviously, that can be good or bad for users, but usually for YouTube creators, the end of the year is very, very good. And so the idea that all of a sudden there's now a potentially free month for people who sign up for this service, which for them is free, is a little worrying, because this is a time where people may have expected, all right, well, it's not necessarily been the best of years from a revenue perspective, but good, I'm going to cash in for the end of the year, going to have a great Christmas. And now it looks like all of November is kind of free, except for those who don't sign up for the service and choose to watch ads. So I want to talk a little bit about why they would do this now, because it seems like if that were the case, then YouTube would be in trouble for doing this too, right? I mean, if there's a lot of ad dollars that's going to happen, why are they hurting themselves at the time when they would get the most ad dollars? Because they get a percentage of all of this stuff. And I want to talk about the reason. So, and this is speculation on my part, but based on kind of having worked with a lot of advertising type of stuff, but there have been big increases in ad block usage, which is understandable, but you can see, especially with things like iOS supporting ad block in their browser, which is a big thing. There were apps that were doing it, and this has gotten really, really scary for advertisers and for publishers, because all of a sudden there's a significant portion of their readership or viewership or whatever who they can't reach. And one of the reasons for this, because ad block usage has always really existed, it's just that it started to really increase. And one of the reasons is that there's this organization called the Interactive Advertising Bureau, and IAB. And their job is to kind of set regulations regarding internet ads. And earlier this year, they came out with this big plan to promote a better experience for the advertiser. And this is the Viewability Campaign. And I'll throw a note in the description if I remember about this. But the premise is that, potentially publishers could say, yeah, I'll put ads on my page and then put them like behind things or randomly where people would never see them. And so what IAB said is, we're going to set up these standards and we're going to start doing all this reporting, all this analytics stuff. Now, part of the problem with this is that actually tracking how long an ad is in view and doing that in a way that is different for all of the different ads and doesn't allow publishers to kind of play with the data or have any hands in it ends up being really, really expensive, both from a network bandwidth perspective and from just, this page is really slow because we've got to keep on checking. Is this thing still seeable? Can we still see it? And so the overall experience on the web has gotten markedly worse, even for ads that are relatively benign. That are not flashy or not, flash-y. Just the fact that we have to report exactly how long this thing is viewable and constantly update, okay, it's still here, it's still here, it's still here, that ends up chewing up people's bandwidth and resulting in a worse experience. And so a lot of people are going, I'm losing my patience, I'm switching to ad block. So that's part of why this thing is happening. You also see things like Facebook Instant Articles, or as I said, the iOS ad block stuff. Apple News is another case, where basically the idea is, all right, we're going to try and really walled garden this so that it's not, the advertisers are limited in what they're able to do. Google and Twitter have a project that they're working on called AMP, or AMP, that is doing kind of a similar thing. And so it's gotten a lot of people really scared about, okay, well, we're trying to do this advertising stuff, and all of a sudden there's this big backlash. What's going on? Now, I would contend to some extent they kind of brought that on themselves by making the experience worse and kind of trying people's patience. And part of the thing is that as this has kind of become this ad block war, as more people do ad block, well, then we're going to demand more viewability, more better analytics and stuff for the ads that are left, which drives more people over to ad block and that sort of thing. Now, to their credit, I should say that IAB, and I believe this was just 2 weeks ago, released this new plan, the gist of which was, hey, we kind of screwed up with let's use all the system resources to get to track all this stuff. Let's try and make good ads that aren't so horrible that everyone says, I'm just blocking all of this. So it's entirely possible that ads could get much better, and I'm actually very optimistic about that. But the fact that so many people have switched to adblock and continue to switch to adblock has gotten a lot of people scared. And so what I suspect is happening with YouTube is that even though this would be a very good month to get ad money, the security of saying, we know that these people are going to be paying $10 a month, and whether or not they switch over to adblock or not is worth more to YouTube's side than it is to kind of take the risk and go, we don't know what's going to happen with adblock. So that's, I suspect, why this is happening now. Now, the unfortunate thing, though, is that they're also pulling all of the creators into this same... They're making the decision both for them and on behalf of the creators. If you don't agree to these terms, then your videos are all privated. So if you're not willing to say, okay, you can serve all of my stuff ad-free, then... which it's, the end of the year, a lot of people may have been kind of anticipating some ad revenue to support themselves, especially kind of the people who are really trying to get to the point where they can self-sustain and create stuff. Now, the one other big thing, and I want to pull up their terms of service or their contract agreement and read this real quick, because they the idea is you pay $10, YouTube keeps 45% of that, and then 55% goes to creators. And on the one hand, that would be a wonderful idea if it worked the way that you might think it would. So let's imagine that I pay $10, and over the course of the month, I watch a crash course video, and I watch a video by a small creator, and I watch a video by CGP Grey. So, and it's based on watch time. So let's say I watch all of those equally. Well, you'd expect, okay, we take $10, they keep 45, so we've got $5.50, and we split that 3 ways. But unfortunately, that's not how that works. So they're in their terms, they say subscription revenues, YouTube will pay 55% of the total net revenues recognized by YouTube from subscription fees that are attributable to the monthly views or watch time of your content as a percentage of the monthly views or watch time of all or a subset of participating content in the relevant subscription offering as determined by YouTube. So what this means is that, because that's obviously the legalese side of things, but what this means is that if that money, that $5.50 is now going to be distributed to the person who got the most watch time. So if a very large YouTuber gets most of the watch time, then my money is going to go ahead and go mostly to them, even if I have never watched any of their stuff. So it's all being kind of pooled together, which means that the smaller content creators who may not get a significant amount of total watch time, even if there are a couple of people who are really passionate and only watch them, are really, really going to struggle with this system. So there are some big concerns with how this is going to work, and I want to be clear that if this is a service that you want to sign up for, please do not have any illusions that your money is going to really support the creators that you watch. It is going to support the creators that are the most popular on the platform. If it just so happens that the people you enjoy are those people, well, then that's a very happy accident, but statistically that's not true for most people. The last thing that I want to talk about, and this is more abstract, is that my concern with this is that we're setting a fixed price point on what content is worth. Because when creators are making stuff, they're making their own art, and that's a good thing, and that's really cool. But when we are saying that you should pay YouTube $10 and 55% of that goes to all of the things, what we're saying is that the content that is made is only worth that amount. That we are setting a specific price point on a bundle of content and treating those as roughly the same based on watch time, and then also throwing in all of music. And whether or not that's a fair amount is kind of irrelevant. But what I think is important is that we're setting up a point where, let me give an example. If you were to if you were to be paying for Netflix and then Netflix were to say, hey, this one show that we have is really hard to make, would you consider paying more for that? The answer is going to be no. We have already kind of set that price point in our heads that this is what the value is of this whole set, this whole collection of stuff. And it is worrisome because a lot of people are turning to things like Patreon or sponsored videos or things like that and trying to say, you know what, I worked very hard on my stuff and I want to let the audience decide how much that is worth. I want to, the audience or the sponsors or whoever. That becomes a much more difficult argument when someone is already paying for something. If you were, watching and you're dealing with some ads on my channel and you go ahead and I say, I'm going to, set up a Patreon, would you consider contributing? You might think about it. Most people don't, and that's fine, but you might think about it. If you're already paying $10 a month for what in your head does support me, then the idea of me asking for more is stupid and greedy. And maybe it is, depending on, how much time I spend working on my content and that sort of thing, and, the production value and what it costs to make and that sort of thing. But it becomes much more difficult in that sense. And I just worry that we are letting YouTube as a platform make a blanket statement about what the value of our art is. And I'm really worried that once we set kind of that floor price, that it becomes very difficult to ever argue that, this is something that I really want to be able to make. I can't afford to do it for this amount, but if you support me, I can do something even cooler, and I'd like to do that. If we have in that mindset that all YouTube content should be free for $10, not free for, but should be ad free, and I'm supporting all of it for $10. And so it's more of a psychological point, but I'm worried about what YouTube Red is going to do with that. So I want to give some advice to kind of close this out. And first off, I want to talk to creators, and particularly small creators who are trying to support themselves or get started, or even just maybe think about eventually getting to the point of being able to make stuff full time, because it's a hard road. Certainly, I'm not there by any stretch of the imagination. But what I want to do is I want to encourage creators. I want to tell you, even if you're small, please, please, please set up a Patreon. And I'm going to be setting one up myself. Now, Patreon is this, free tip jar like service, and I know that can feel really weird. It's something that I've felt uncomfortable with for a very long time. And I still feel uncomfortable with it because it feels like charity in some ways. But what I'm starting to realize is that if we don't make that a normal way to define the value of the art that we make, then we are inviting other people to dictate what that value is. And those people are not our audience. And it's as simple as that it should be the audience that decides how much something is worth to them. And even if you set up a Patreon and people don't contribute to it, you're still helping to normalize the behavior and to help kind of signal that, we really think that it should be your call what the stuff that I make is worth, and not YouTube's call and not advertisers' call and that sort of thing. So, I would encourage and really ask you to consider setting one up. And I'll be setting one up as well. And then just, please be aware that you may have some revenue troubles if you were kind of dependent on advertising, that this would be a time to really kind of save. And then finally, interact with your audience, build up whatever community you can, and be nice to people, because it is really the audience and not YouTube and not advertisers and not anything else that you are connecting with and who support you. So if you are a viewer, I would say consider maybe if you're already using AdBlock, then this kind of is a moot point. But if you are currently sitting through ads, and that's wonderful of you. I know it's frustrating. I'm not a fan of the ads. But if you are, consider not signing up for YouTube Red, or if you do, supplementing with Patreon. for those that have it, or at least skipping this free trial, because especially the end of the year coming up on holiday season is going to be really rough for people that are really trying to get their foot in the door and trying to do this full time, to suddenly have their kind of source of revenue just kind of pulled out from under them, without having really any say. Again, if people do have Patreons and you can go ahead and support them, please do. It certainly, Patreon, by the way, takes 5% of the donations, and that's to process the actual donations. So as compared to YouTube's 45% cut, both on advertising and for subscription stuff, and even then, that money doesn't go to the person, it goes to the most popular person, and then the small percentage goes to the person that you're watching. Something like Patreon is so much better in terms of actually trying to support the person that you're trying to support. And as always, share and like and comment. I hope that you will do the same on this video. If you comment, I will do my best to comment back. If you find this interesting at all, I know I've been rambly, but it's YouTube Red. I'm feeling rambly, but I got my sweater. I'm all cozy and stuff. So I hope you're having a good day, and we will see what happens with YouTube Red in the long-term future, I guess. So have a great one. Cheers.